are continuing through the book of James. Okay, last week was pretty heavy. This week, it gets even heavier. Okay? It's a heavy, heavy topic. And before you jump in to say, this isn't me, because some of you guys might say this, I want you to think about it. Okay? Just think about it. Alright, so I want to ask a question beforehand. Who do you think is rich? What does a rich person look like? AJ? Blaine, alright. Drug dealer. Alright. Yeah. Someone who owns a mansion? Okay. My man. Trump Towers. That would be Trump. Trump owns Trump Towers. Okay. Yes, sir. Someone with a lot of wisdom is very rich. With wisdom. Oh, okay. You want a different route with that. I like that. Okay. Sir. Someone who's very good at their job. Sure. Okay. Anybody else? Someone that you think is rich. I'm going to categorize it, not to deflate what you had said, but someone who has a lot of money. What is a lot of money, though? $1 million enough? Jasmine. Sorry? Believes in Christ? Oh, see, you two. I like this depth thing going on. All right. All right, let's categorize a little bit further. Rich in money. What would you categorize someone rich in money? So $1 million is considered rich? Okay. Andre? Greedy billionaire? Someone who's rich? Okay. Jordan? Has a house. Okay. Guess we're all rich, eh? Okay. I gotta debate that one. Alright. Okay, so what if, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Do you guys know what that means? Yeah? Okay. So what if someone in Africa, I'm going to say Africa because not everybody in Africa is cheap, or poor, but there are some rural areas in Africa that, people have nothing. No food, no water. Do you think they'll look at us as rich? Okay. And I'm going to take another level. This tribe might have, like apple trees, okay? And there's another tribe down the street that has nothing. Do you think they'll look at that tribe and think, man, they're rich with apples? Is that possible? Okay, so here's what is real, is this. Richness is all in the eye of the beholder, meaning this. We might not think we are rich, but someone else might look at you and say, you are rich. Does that make sense? Who has an iPod here? iPod, phone, some sort of gaming device, PlayStation, Xbox, okay. A computer, okay. So we're going down to Dominican this Friday to do work in Dominican. Some of these guys don't have shoes, okay? They don't have shoes. I told this a couple weeks ago, but sometimes we play basketball with these guys and they have a slipper, not slippers, it's slipper. They have one slipper on. And I'll ask the dude, what happened to the other one? It broke. Okay. And so if you're wondering why we have boxes of Crocs in the back, it's not because I'm like this Croc fetish thing, but it's because we're bringing it down to Dominican and we're going to give it to the kids down there. Now, here's the thing. This is what James chapter 5, verse 1 to 6 says. It's pretty intense. Follow with me if you can, okay? It says this. He's speaking to the rich here, okay? And granted, some of the rich were taking advantage of the poor. Do you know what that means, to take advantage of the poor? What does that mean? Yeah. Slaves? Okay, they could have been slaves. Yep. It's like this. It could have been slavery. It could have been they see a poor person and they take their money too. Right? Or they see a poor person, they give them a job and they pay them half of what they should be getting. Okay? Canada, we have something called minimum wage. Do you know what that is? $11.25. It's this set amount that all employees have to give at least. Do you know what I was getting paid for minimum wage when I was working at 16? No. $6.25. $6.25 when I was 16. Double my age, it's double the price. Alright. So here's the thing. this is what it says in Scripture. And all I want you to ask yourself is, how does this apply to me? Okay, I want you to ask yourself that. He says this in James chapter 5, verse 1. He says, "Come now, you rich, weep and howl for the miseries that are coming upon you." Now, this is pretty, like, you guys know what it means to weep? Do you guys know what it means to cry, okay? But cry, like, you ever had those moments and see kids when, or maybe this is you, like, I remember I was riding my bike. I was an idiot, but I was riding my bike, and instead of using, you know those bikes where you have to pedal backwards and it brakes? You know, right? Not these types of brakes, but the brakes where you have to pedal backwards and it brakes. I had that type of bike until I was like maybe grade 9. And I was like, man, I'm getting tired of these brakes. So what I did was I started using my feet on the front wheel. I said, man, this works. Now realizing that when you're going very fast and you put your feet in there, it'll flip your bike over, right? And so I flipped over. I have scabs. See this right here? This is from when I fell on my bike. Right there. I don't know if you can see it. And what happened was there was a rock that was lodged in my elbow. Okay? A rock that was lodged in my elbow. And because I slid. I slid like this, and then because it was tearing up here, I threw my elbow out like this. And in the process of bringing it out, I gathered rocks into my elbow. Right? And that day, I remember I cried. And it wasn't like one of those, it was one of those like shoulder heaving, like snot dripping, you know what I'm talking about? Snot dripping, like my eyes are like red. That's what it means when you weep. That's what is weeping. Crying is like, oh, it really hurt. Right? Weeping is like, oh, goodness, right? And you know what I'm talking about, right? And it's like your dad just like, I'm disappointed. No! Right? And it's one of those moments. And he says this. He says, you rich, those who are rich, weep and howl for the miseries that are coming upon you. Weep and howl for the miseries that are coming upon you. Now these are pretty strong words, right? If you are rich, he's saying there's going to be a day where you are going to howl and weep. There's going to be a day when you will howl and weep, okay? So he says, watch what happens. It says, verse 2, your riches have rotted and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and silver have corroded, and the corrosion will be evidence against you and will eat your flesh. That's pretty intense, right? Sorry, Abigail. Eat your flesh. Eat your flesh, right? Eat your flesh like fire. You have laid up treasure in the last days. And he says this. He's talking to people who have stuff, but only use it for themselves. All they think about is themselves. Okay? Now, great question. Great question. So what if you're rich and you help others? I'm going to get to that in a second. Okay? Can I do that? Or do you want me to answer that now? Okay. So I'm just talking specifically about people who have lots of money and they use it just for themselves. Do you know anybody that's like that? When you look at someone at school and you're like, man, this guy has so much stuff and he refuses to share. You're like, why? Why won't you just share your stuff, man? You got so much. Like, for example, I know someone that has 4 Xboxes. Right? 4. I'm like, why do you have 4? Okay? This is why he has 4. Okay, you ready? And he explained it to me. Because I saw all 4 in his bookshelf. I said, why do you have 4? He said, well, 1 is special edition. Granted, I for some reason I understand that. Right? This is from Japan, so I can play Japanese Xbox games. That makes sense. And then he said, and then I have another one, the hardboard, or the motherboard, it's almost fried, so I bought another one. But it keeps working, so I still use it.
Oh my.
So I'm like, okay. So then why'd you buy the 4th one? He said, well, just in case the 3rd one fries out too.
Oh wow.
Right? And then I said, well, what do you do with them? And he says, well, you have to, I don't get how this works, but you have to build points. And by playing different people online, you build points and build, you know what I'm saying? I've never played those types of games, right? So I was like, so why don't you just, why do you need 4, right? Why don't you do it like the normal person way and play regular people, right? Anyways, this being said, I'm not saying this guy doesn't give, okay? All I'm saying is this guy has 4 Xboxes, and I'm thinking, that's a little excessive, isn't it? A little excessive. And I think, what could he have done with that money that he bought with the other Xbox, or the one before it, or the one before it, right? What could he have done, right? Granted, this guy, he gives like crazy. Okay, he gives like crazy, and we're gonna get to that in a moment. But for some of us, who were quick to judge? Who's like, 4 Xboxes, what's wrong with this guy? Who's quick to say, oh my goodness, this guy has too much? Okay, I'm one of those types of people too. But here's the thing. We do this all the time as well. Who's ever thrown out food before? Okay? And it's perfectly good, it's edible, you're like, I'm full. You're not gonna save it, you just throw it out. Who's ever had 2 of something, right? Who has more than 1 pair of shoes? Okay. Who has at least 4 pairs of shoes? Yeah, I have about 6 or 7. Right, yeah. Because my feet don't grow anymore, that's why. You know? My feet don't grow. It's different for you guys, your feet grow, right? Anyway, so here's what is real. Is that for some of us, we might look at this guy and be like, oh my goodness, 4 Xboxes. Well, someone looks at you and says, 3 pairs of shoes. I got 1 sandal. Right? I like, every year I give my shoes to the guys at Dominican because they don't have any, right? They don't have any. And here's the thing. He says this, you have laid up treasure for yourself. So last week we talked about what if you were to die today? Okay? What if you were to die today? I'm going to say that again. What if you were to die today? Okay? If you were to die today, you know, Tony, we found out he was an axe murderer. He came with an axe and chopped your head off. Okay? Thanks, Tony. Being a part of the illustration. He's not like that. He's a very kind person. Sufficient to say, what if you were to die today? And you have all this stuff. Who has a lot of stuff? Like you have, you know, a phone, an Xbox, or a PlayStation, or iPhone, or whatever, right? We have a lot of stuff. And this is what Francis Chan talks about in regards to money. He says this, sometimes people will look at that and say, man, this guy was blessed. Thomas was blessed. He had so much stuff. And what James is saying is this. He says, actually, have we laid up treasure for ourselves? Have we laid up treasure for ourselves? He goes on to say this, behold, the wages of the laborer who mowed your fields, which you kept back by fraud, are crying out against you, and the cries of the harvesters have reached the ears of the Lord of hosts. You ever done something wrong and gotten away with it? Yeah? Who's ever lied and it's gotten away? You know, like, my mom didn't find out. Yeah? Okay. Here's the thing. I'm not trying to make you feel guilty. I'm just going to tell you what is real, okay? This is what is real. I also have lied before. I also have found a way to get away with it. There's always ways to get around lies, right? Sometimes you can lie to get out of a lie. You guys ever do that before? You know? Why are you late? My friend made me late. Why did he make you late? Well, their mom was supposed to pick me up and they didn't, and so we had to take the bus, you know, and we didn't have any money, so we had to call a friend. The friend came, they ended up driving us home, right? Total lie. I just want to play video games longer, you know? Whatever it may be, we all have the potential to lie. And our parents might have no clue that we lied to them. No clue. Is that true? Whose parents still to this day have no clue that you have lied to them? Let's keep it that way. Okay. This is what is real, okay? And this is what made me feel a little guilty. I'm not trying to make you feel guilty. All I'm saying is this, okay? It says this in Scripture. wages of the laborers who mowed your fields, which you kept back by fraud, are crying out against you. Meaning this, there was a time where people would work for other people and they would stinge out on their pay. Okay? Because whatever. And this is what it says. The cries of the harvester have reached the ears of the Lord of hosts. Meaning this, that whatever we do wrong, our parents might not know. But it has reached God's ears. God fully knows that you have lied. I have lied. He fully knows. He fully knows that you still know and haven't told your parents. He fully knows that we have gotten away with it and want to keep it that way. Sorry. Right? But here's what is real. Right? This is what is real. Is that this is how we treat other people as well. We might have other things in this life and we fully know. Do you think it's possible that we fully know that there are people that die of starvation? Is it possible? You guys ever watch those World Vision commercials online? It's like, I'm not watching this. Right? Why don't we want to watch it? Because it's boring. You might feel guilty. You know? And you're like, oh man, I don't want to do nothing about it. Right? This is the thing. So I'm now going to get to Thomas's point. It says this. You have lived on the earth in luxury and self-indulgence. You have fattened your hearts in a day of slaughter. And what he's saying is you have lived a soft life. Soft life if you're living for yourself. But, he says this. What if you saw someone that was in need? Do you think you would do something about it? Woman. Yes. What if you saw someone at school that was in need? Would you do something about it? Yes. Depends on the person. I like your honesty. All right. Here's what is real. James says, we have been living a soft life, meaning this. We live it for ourselves. Last week I talked about our lives could be this short. We're steam. Steam in the air. Just gone like that. Right? Our lives are very short. How do you want to live your life? Do you want to live your life just for yourselves? Or do you want to live your life knowing that you can help someone? Knowing. And some of you guys might be like, well, I don't want no money, man. I got no money. Right? And here's what I know about all of you. I believe that if you had the opportunity to give, you would give it. And so going back to your question, the answer is this. God doesn't judge how much you have. He judges your heart. God doesn't judge how much you have. He judges your heart. You might have all this stuff. If you have the opportunity to give it, would you give it? I think all of you would say yes. I believe that. I believe if you saw the poverty in Dominican, that you'd want to do something about it. People ask me why I take teams down to Dominican. It's for this one reason. Yes, we're going down there to help, but also it's so that they can live for something greater than themselves. Something greater than themselves. Here is the challenge for this week. You ready? I want to challenge you to do something this week that is not for yourself. And I know it's easy around the house. I'm going to do the dishes when my mom doesn't tell me to. I want you to do some exploring. Okay? Look at your neighbors. Maybe their lawn is like super long. Go and mow their lawn for free. Just knock on their door and say, can I mow your lawn? They're going to ask you how much. You're going to say, absolutely free. Okay? Do something that is not for you. And see how you feel after. See how you feel. You usually feel good. Why? Why do you feel good doing something for someone else for free? Why? Like, think about it. We're going down to Dominican. It costs $1,700 per person to go down to Dominican to help people. Okay? $1,700. In my mind, that sounds ridiculous. Doesn't it? Why would someone pay to help somebody? Right? But for some reason, our team keeps getting bigger. Every year, it gets bigger. For people to pay to help somebody. I believe this, that God has built us that way. God has built us to want to help others. So when you go and you live a life for yourself, you're doing exactly the opposite of what God has built you to do. Alright, so here's the challenge. Go and do something for someone else that you might not even know. Okay? You might know them relatively a little, you see them on the street, whatever it may be. Go and do something for someone. Pull their weeds out or something, right? Mow their lawn, water their grass, take care of their kids, fix their shingles. I don't know. That one's a little bit hard. Fix my shingles. All right, I'm just joking. Whatever it may be. I saw this test experiment where the couple guys randomly saw, they video shot this, I'm not going to show it, but they were at the gas station a distance away. Some guy's filling his tank. Before he was done, they walked in and said, we're going to pay for whatever that tank is, how much it is. They paid for it, walked out, right? Then the guy walked in, he's like, absolutely free, right? And he walked out, he's looking around, nobody's there, because the guy had walked away. And random act of kindness. How do you think that would make you feel if you just did some random kindness? My man. Yeah. Some reason God's built us this way. It's funny. When you do something kind for someone else, for some reason it makes you feel good. I don't know why. Just God built us that way. Right? And I think it happens the same thing with money. Right? Specifically, James talked about money. When you give your money, for some reason, it makes you feel good about it. For some reason. When you give your stuff, it makes you feel good. When you give your time, it makes you feel good. Why? God built us that way. Thomas.
But it's easier to get money. It's easier to get money than to actually do something.
Yes, that's a great statement. It is easier to get money than to do something. I would say, challenge yourself and do something. Challenge yourself. But for other people, it's not as easy. That's the thing, right? Other people, they say, oh, I don't want to give money, but I'll give my time. That's easier, right? And I think, well, give both. Whatever's in your heart, challenge yourself. Okay? Whatever is hard, challenge yourself. AJ, do you have something to say or are you stretching? Okay, it's cool. This is a hard topic, isn't it? A hard topic. But, this is what God calls us towards. Okay? This is what God calls us towards. Challenge of the week. I want to hear about it. I do. If you do something awesome, I want to hear about it. Give me a call, give me an email, just say, hey Sam, this is what I did this week. I want to know. Right? Because you know why? When you do something for someone else, that gets me excited for some reason. Right? That gets me excited too. So, let me know. Don't keep it to yourself. I want to hear about it. Okay? So I want you to think about it. Think about something that you can do for someone else. That you know they need some help. You know that they need some help. What can you do? And sometimes it's just listening to somebody. Okay? It can come in different ways. Is that cool? Alright guys. Let's stand and pray together.